in a time when the economic crisis is eating harder and harder on people, when the environment is being threatened, and when so many wars are being waged from Greece to Palestine, I think it's very important that internationalism is more stronger than ever, and I think that this kind of debate is important. I want to focus on the European experience and what kind of role France is playing. I just saying that there was indeed a war being waged in Greece, kind of different from what is happening in Gaza, but it's nonetheless a war, because neoliberalism is a war against the people, a war against the poor, and it's also a war that is waged between workers. The way they are portraying Greece and Greek workers, the way they are talking about the so-called pigs who are lazy, and the way they are implementing austerity measures in countries like France by explaining that French workers aren't competitive enough, aren't exploited enough, so they need to accept cut on social service, cut on wages in order to be better than German workers, than Greek workers. So this war, which has been waged in France by the right-wing government, by Sarkozy, by the right-wing majority in the parliament for the past 10 years, has had a little bump in the past month, because the people defeated Sarkozy last May, and it was a real important moment, because Sarkozy was a very zealous neoliberal. He wages war against the French worker. He promised to break the spirit of resistance and all the social security and the social right that had been won by the French working class, and he did pretty well against the pension, against the workers, against the trade union. So he did a pretty good job for the neoliberal power, and that's created a lot of anger. There have been mass movements of students. There have been a big movement against the pension reforms, and people went on the street and they marched and they went on strike by millions, and they finally voted him out last May. But at the same time, the problem was that this relief didn't last very long. The thing is, François Hollande was the Socialist Party candidate and got elected against Sarkozy, has been actually pursuing the same kind of policies that Sarkozy has been doing in the past 5 years. It's not the same style, because with Sarkozy it was kind of caricature, but it's the same spirit. It's the idea, and Hollande is like the poster child of the evolution of former social democratic parties, who are now social liberal, and who think that we could soften the neoliberalism, but still do economic reform and austerity, and that's exactly what he has been doing for the past 6 months, now that they are in power. And not only that, not only doing austerity measures, but also doing being very tough on security issues, about immigrant policy, being very cautious about progressive rights. And it's not that people were expecting much from this government when he got elected, because he didn't promise much. He was always very center-left. But for the first time in decades that the left was in power, people expected a little bit, like the thing that the left is supposed to do. And now there's a state of in-between anger, disillusionment, but also resistance, because now people know that because of what has been happening also in other countries, also because of the experience of the past years when And of the past decade, with movement like the anti-capitalist movement, with the anti-war movement, people know that the only victory and the only right they're gonna get back is by organizing and by fighting back, actually. So what is happening in the past weeks in France is that, like a revival of resistance in local working place where people are being threatened to be fired, and it's also the idea that we have to not only to wait and see what the Socialist Party government is about to do, because they already voted for the austerity in Europe, so they're going to implement it in France, but also how do we organize and how do we make sure that we are being heard and that we can fight back. And my organization, the Left Front, is part of this bigger movement. Late September, we've been organizing a big demo against the European Treaty, and we've been aligning with a social movement, with trade unions, and to say at the same time that we were saying no to the new EU treaty, we were also saying that we are in solidarity with people in Greece, with people in Spain, with people in Portugal, because of the previous movement, because of the anti-capitalist movement, because also of the way those experiments, especially in Greece, have inspired millions of workers and in Europe. So I think that's a very new situation where now that in France, the Socialist Party, which is allied with the Green Party, are in power. Now the real left, the new left that we are ready to represent, is both onto the street, resisting and building anti-neoliberal policy movements, and also inside the institution, like we did during the previous electoral campaign. Our presidential candidate got 11% of the vote. And what we have been also arguing is not only about austerity and fighting back against austerity. It's not only about environmental issues, it's also about democratic issues. And I think what the colleagues said previously about the need to emphasize democratic issues and to revive democracy for the people, by the people, was a very important dimension of our electoral campaign. And I think it relates both to the discussion you have here, but although the situation is different in France, the idea that we need to regain democracy, it also relates with what has been happening in the past years, whether the revolution in the Arab world or the Occupy Wall Street, and this idea that the people demand now their democracy back. So I think I'm going to conclude now about the challenges that face the new left. This new left, like in Greece, which is on the verge of maybe taking power in the next month, in the next years, which is a new level of responsibility. So now it's not just in theory, and it's going to be concrete. I think what you have in the next 2 years and the campaign about your referendum, also about independence, are really new challenges for the left. But at the same time, I think that we are more ready than ever to do these challenges and to succeed by building strong anti-capitalist movements on the ground in the institution, and also by building strong international, European-wide coalitions in order to fight back, because they are organized internationally on the European level, and we need to be organized at the same level. So thank you very much, and I hope we'll see in the next battles together.